the Marist community gathers to celebrate two of our own. The men whom we honor tonight have embodied the best of what Marist High School is all about. Our first honoree is Mr. Owen Glennon. As you've heard already, for 50 years, Owen has dedicated himself to secondary education in the discipline of mathematics. For any one of us, spending a half century of our life at one institution is a wonderful tribute to someone who loves their work and the context of a Catholic high school where a wonderful vocation can be lived out and expressed. For a moment now, I call your attention to the screens. Please enjoy the following video as we honor Owen Glennon.
The Heart of Marist Award, I think, embodies someone who, like Champagne, sees the gifts and talents in others. Owen definitely sees the gifts and talents of the students in his room, sitting in the desks in front of him. And I think he works hard every day to meet them where they are and take them to the next step of where they want to go.
I couldn't think of a better way for Marist to honor my dad in his 50th year of teaching and his dedication to his students.
I don't think there'll ever be another person like Owen who will come through these halls. He's one of those people that I think will be probably that number one person that will be remembered by most students here at the school.
Owen's legacy is in the work that his kids do out in the world. He teaches them how to solve problems, but I don't think he teaches them how to solve problems just in math. I think he teaches them how to solve problems in life. And it's really a confidence and an approach to life that I think he works with them on.
He made you realize that you're capable of doing things that you don't always necessarily believe that you could do. And I think that was incredibly formative for me.
He had a very strict homework policy where he would expect you to do the homework every night but not check it every day, but there was always that what if where he might come in that day and check your homework, and I think that it prepares you for always being prepared.
He had his own way of making jokes and trying to make it fun because it was difficult material, and most people will not say math is fun.
Owen sees this as a way of evangelizing, of making Jesus Christ known and loved, and I think he wants them to leave not only with academic skills, but with life skills, things that are going to sustain them long after they leave here and when they encounter the challenges of life.
Join me once again as we acknowledge and we celebrate Mr. Owen Glennon. Please.
I got to tell you, I'm more than just a little bit taken aback, but I'm so happy that some of my former students here that are doctors are here tonight. I hope some of you have the paddles with you, because I may need them. Thank you to Larry Tucker for this Heart of Marist Award. I'm most humbled knowing so many great teachers and staff at Marist. Thank you to Beth O'Neill, Ryan Tucker, and Father Tom Hurley, along with the staff of Advancement for their many hours of work putting together this beautiful night. In this, my 50th year here at Marist, I'm prone to do a lot of pondering. Permit me to share a few of my reflections on what these 50 years at Marist have meant to me. But let me hesitate for a moment. I'm usually much more comfortable speaking with some chalk dust on me and a chalkboard in the near vicinity, these helpers in front of me, Mia Narciso, Mia, and Ryan Deskovich. We just call him Deskovich. Haley Dostal, we call her Haley. They're all from the AP Calculus class. Mia hand wrote this beautiful math tapestry on the board in front of me. Ryan and Haley are 2 of 45 members of the math team. The 10 seniors on that math team have an average ACT of 35. Between Haley and Deskovich, average ACT, 35.5. Thank you, guys. I think you have some homework you need to be doing, so I appreciate if you move along. Let me tell you a story. I have a secret I want to share. I was not an athletic child. Yet at 9 years of age, between math assignments at Queen of Martyrs, I found sufficient energy and stamina to jump on my 3-speed English racing bike, head out to explore the neighborhood of Mount Greenwood, and sometimes found myself on the south side of 115th and Karlov, where I would stop, lean against my bike, and watch the workmen pour the foundation and lay the first red bricks for what would be Marist High School. Little did I know then that some 13 years later, I would walk through the front doors of Marist to interview with Brother Anthony, Brother Vito, and Jerry Santoni. In that interview, I was asked the anticipated questions about my Catholic upbringing, my knowledge of math, my thinking on math education. And I'm not exaggerating on this question here. Brother then asked me, "Do you own a car?" At first, I thought this was one of those trick questions that in answering, I divulged my innermost self. I'm a guy from Mount Greenwood. We don't divulge our innermost self. But I quickly composed myself and took it as a simple factual question. "Well, yes, brother," I proudly said. "I own a 1975 silver Chevy Malibu." Brother crossed his arms, nodded his head, and said, "Good." And with that, he stood up, shook my hand, and sent me on my way. On the way home in my 1975 silver Chevy Malibu, I worried, I hope brother doesn't drive a Buick. But not to worry, the next day I was back at Marist to sign a contract to teach at Marist. I think it was the 1975 silver Chevy Malibu that sealed the deal. And so began the great adventure of my life. I have been so blessed. I have a wonderful wife, Carlin, my daughters, Carlin and Mary, my son, Owen, and his wife, Liz. I was raised in a loving home by Mom and Dad with my sisters, Mary and Margie, my brothers, John, Tom, and Joe, and now their families, my extended family of the Farrens and the Schmids. I have been so blessed. For all 50 years of my teaching career, I have been a teacher at Marist High School, a part of the Marist community of Catholic educators, students, parents, alumni, and benefactors. For 5 decades, thousands, and upon thousands of you have sat in my class 20 or 30 a time and made it feel like home. Marist, in a word, it tells who we are, the Marist family, the Marist brothers, Marcel and Champagne, Mary, our good mother, our mission to make Jesus known and loved, to look out after the least amongst us. In my early years, I was fortunate enough to teach with and learn from such Marist legends as Brother Hank Hammer, Brother Rich Grenier, Brother Pat McGee, Brother Vito Arresto, Dan Garvey, Jerry Santoni, Frank Manna, Larry Melito, Mike Leahy, Ray Belcarcel, Randy Coe, Don Barowitz, and many other men and women who in the 1960s and 70s helped to lay the foundation of what a Marist Catholic education would be at Marist, Chicago. They helped to define how we would distinguish ourselves from other local schools. I'm also so thankful for the support and encouragement of so many diligent and conscientious students and generous parents, my fellow dedicated Marist educators, particularly those from the math department, and especially Brother Hank Hammer, Jerry Santoni, Jeff Nicholson, and Larry Tucker. But I've made you sit for too long. Let's take a field trip. Well, at least in your heads. Everybody on the bus. Mr. Coe will help direct everybody on there. No pushing, no shoving. We're going to take a ride over to Marist. And as we travel down 115th Street approaching Marist, you can't help but be struck by the beautiful Champagne mural on the west side of the chapel. We have a beautiful campus that fosters the learning for our children. There's a lot more red brick out there now than when I started here in 1976. And that's thanks to the many generous alumni and benefactors with the generations of help from students and the direction and vision of our most recent presidents, Brother Rick Carey, Brother Pat McNamara, Brother Hank Hammer, and Larry Tucker. As we pull into the gym entrance and take a walk in, get ready. The true gift of Marist is when you open that front door, walk in, and are engaged by the students, administrators, faculty, and staff. Welcome home. As we walk down the hall past the gym, our sometimes cathedral, and past the point where Mr. Brazenwood stood, where now students come in and stands Principal Meg Dunback, greeting the students cheerfully each morning. But let's hesitate here for a moment and take in the quiet of the evening and the surroundings. Let the memories of your youth roll over you. Surely there are those memories of the hard work, the endless tests, the tough practices, the hard-fought victories, and perhaps a few defeats. Do you remember the late nights, the early mornings? Do you remember the joy of learning, of being engaged with your fellow students and discovering our world and a bit about yourselves? Do you remember the quadratic formula? No, seriously, do you remember the quadratic formula? Show of hands, who remembers the quadratic formula? I need proof. Joe Alfano, class of 81. On your feet, Joe. Prove it. Nice, Joe. Excellent. There are those other memories that stick with us a bit more. It's what I still see each day at Marist. Do you remember the energy, the enthusiasm, the conversations, the friendships? Do you remember the witness to our faith? Do you remember the smiles, the laughter, the camaraderie? Do you remember the kindness? Of course, you remember the shenanigans. And I know you want a shenanigan story. Once, before the turn of the century, an industrious young Marist man, some 45 years ago, it's the first mobile phone story. Todd, sitting in the third seat of the third row, hasn't done his homework once again. Todd, if you don't do your homework, I'll have to call your mom. Next day, Todd is there. His homework is not. No homework, Todd? I'll have to call your mom. Todd responds in a cantankerous yet respectful manner. Good luck on that, Mr. Glennon, as he pulls his 10-pound house phone out of his backpack. Todd says, I just couldn't take the risk. I took the phone off the wall and brought it with me to school. Today, Todd works for AT&T. Same seat, 20 years later, same theme. Robert, if you don't stop fidgeting, you're going to fall out of your chair, hit your head on the floor, damage your cerebral cortex, and lose your mathematical prowess. Next day, I'm deep into some intense math on the board, turn around to interrogate the students when I spot Robert. Hey, Robert, why are you wearing a motorcycle helmet? Well, says Robert in a cantankerous yet respectful manner, I didn't want to fall out of my seat, hit my head on the floor, damage my cerebral cortex, and lose my mathematical proficiency. Well done, Robert. Carry on. A tender story. The class of 2013. In her freshman, junior, and senior years, Moira McDermott sat in the third seat of the fifth row of room 105. At the same time sat Mark Triesenberg in the sixth seat of the sixth row, both of them active math team members. In May of their senior year, Mark and Moira went to the Marist Senior Prom together on a warm spring night. And some 6 years later, to the day of that Marist Senior Prom, Mark and Moira married at St. Christopher's in Midlothian. Then Mark and Moira, with their wedding party of former Marist math team members, headed over to Marist, and with permission, to room 105. Wrote their favorite equations and memories on the board, and had their wedding pictures taken in the room where they first met. Moira and Mark, if you'd stand up for a moment, please. Today, Moira teaches at St. Christopher and Mark, a chemical engineer, and together, mom and dad to their young son. In our own ways, for our own reasons, in our own time, didn't Marist capture our hearts and pull us in? On that graduation day when last you walked the halls of Marist as a student, headed into the gym to celebrate your graduation, then out onto the football field to throw your caps, embrace, laugh, smile, offer your best wishes and a few goodbyes. With a trace of tears, didn't you find your way to 115th Street, off to college, and then you walked into the world as architects and engineers, as doctors and lawyers, as educators, as compassionate healthcare professionals, ethical businessmen and women, as priests and brothers, as husbands and wives, moms and dads, as people of faith, enlivened by the gospel, who continue the struggle to make this a better world. Many of you who I taught over the years have kept in touch, or our paths cross, or news filters back to me about your professional and personal successes, your joys, your sorrows, at times your courageous responses to the challenges life throws your way. And whether you sat before me at Marist last year, or 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, or 30, or 40, or 50 years ago, I am so proud of you. I always have been. And I am so proud of you and thankful that for a moment in time, we shared our lives. For all of us, what would we have been? Who would we have become had we not been of Marist? What would Marist now be had you not walked our halls? What would Marist become without you who pray for our students, offer your time, your treasure for the next generation of Marist students? For all of us, we can't help ourselves. We are so blessed. For time and eternity, we are Marist. Thank you.